Immunic, IMUX is the ticker. Immunic, stock update, IMUX. This is the hourly time frame, and we're taking a look for Luke Sotos, lurking Luke Sotos. Here's a gap, Luke, and everybody else. Price action did well, put in this sort of formation, right? Very similar to what we're seeing at the minute, so hold that in mind. Price action then dropped and left this huge cavernous gaping gap, which we touched into slightly and therefore reduced it on this move to the top side, which we've equaled recently. This is an hourly time frame, so if this is a bull flag, 236 holding there, you get an entry at 245. Happy days, right? You go on up and you test $6 or so. That's a 236. I'll go into the daily time frame, show you. It's a 236 from the ultimate high. So you could make that target at 656 if this is a bull flag on the hourly. But the truth is, we've seen something similar to this before, and we are at a resistance point here. If you do break it, then potential large move. Could be even beyond that and fill this gap, going all the way up to the 886 at 894. A little bit sloppy to see that recovery straight to the top from here, but it's possible. Bull flag taking you up to the golden pocket around 470, potentially gets that little bit extra. You see this previous gap comes in at around 470, 480 in the golden pocket. May well be then you see some congestion at that level if it gets there, that is. You know, obviously you've got the golden pocket above, so you'd be talking about this sort of level where you've got a little bit of potential for it to bounce about in. You've got the 236, sorry, the golden pocket at the top side of that. You've got the 236 then beyond it. That might be a little ultimate target up there and at the 886 and closing this gap just beyond it. So that would be you're looking for from positive resolution of this formation. The momentum says that you could potentially go for that, though it is dropped below the center line. That's not particularly positive. It's the hourly time frame here, and you're holding the 236 of this move up. So positive potential still on the cards. And in this leg of the trend, you'd say these are higher highs and this is a higher low. But overall, you know, you really need to break this guy, which is the most recent high you haven't broke, and you haven't tested that or broken, right? You haven't broken it since you put in this low. So you're still in a downtrend technically, but you would break that imminently, breaking above 317 and starting to further your way into this gap. So that's the hourly time frame where it looks positive. 4 hour, again, you've slipped out of the bullish control zone, but that's a positive signature. You can see that you've pushed very, very high here compared to these previous highs. Not necessarily that much higher than this previous inflection, which presents the horizontal resistance though. So positive, and if the RSI gets back into the bullish control zone without breaking the center line in the 4 hour, I'd say this price action probably doesn't break back much below this 236 if it does at all. If it does though, we can see the prior high from this move was in at around a 50% retracement, and that's a perfectly natural place for it to go in at around $2.05, $2.06 if it doesn't hold the 236 at 246. So, you know, which would be the better trade? Probably from down here, because you'd have a similar idea about this approaching the gap. But if you're looking for the bull flag, then you would want your stop immediately beyond that 236. Maybe you're looking at the 382, and you've got at which point, are you really looking at the bull flag targets, or have you got a different trading to go? I would suggest you're probably looking at a 50% retracement if you're talking about a 382 or 50% retracement on price action here, down to those $2.06 or 224. Then your target on that trade might be 368 and just pushing into the gap, touching that 50% retracement and leaving the gap, which it's already entered and exited once before, so without closing. So it's very possible it could do it again. The fact that there's a gap within the gap means that, you know, extra risk as soon as you get back above that 50% in at around $4. That being said, there is a rocky outcrop flash at 434. It's been interrupted. 434 from 253. You know, if you're managing it with a stop and it goes your way, that could be fantastic trade. Up to those levels, 433. Congestion at this area, very likely. Momentum on the RSI, hold that center line positive. Daily time frame, where you can see that this is very much a downtrend and we're still in the low of it, but there's a very obvious formation here, potentially, with this W. If it does work out at this leg of the trend, you're talking about that retracement and those targets we spoke about. Otherwise, you could be looking at a wild signal, price action coming back down, finding resistance at around 205, possibly golden pocket in around 160, 155 for an 886 as well. You know, these things are possible. 180 to 160 if it doesn't hold these targets that we're talking about. Really close targets for potential entries. And that's the daily time frame, where you've also got what could be described as, you know, perfectly natural rise to the top side most recently, but you have failed to break this previous high, and there is a question if there's a trend line here. If there is a trend line, price action could break down. You can see the median of that trend is approximately like this. So testing that wouldn't be all that unusual. And this 50% retracement, that would probably be where you'd find that. So that's the daily. On the weekly to make the point about this thing. It's been in a permanent downtrend. It's a biotech stock, so it's like Willy Wonka's chocolate bars. Some of them have got golden tickets. Others are a complete scam. It's a total scam. So you have to be careful with biotech. Is it something similar? These guys have got technology in celiac disease that may be making its way to the market. They've got a couple other things that would be positive if they were to have an impact. But, you know, all of their drugs and tests, very speculative. And until such times as they manage to get, you know, a proper trend on the go to the top side, it would be hard to put much faith in this thing. So you've got your rocky outcrop flash to look to, you've got the gap to fill, and you have a potential uptrend to start putting in, but you haven't done that yet. As you can see, that's potential diagonal coming across the top side of price action there. May well be that that is your target if you exceed that flash in the golden pocket, but a tough one from here. That retracement that was in line with this trend line RSI and your lows on price action was the potential entry, you know, from $1.40 up to $2.68. There will be people looking at that question on whether or not they take profit. And in the face of this downtrend, they probably would. They don't put much faith in gaps, as this one, you can see, hasn't been filled. Left wide, cavernous gap there. Flashes, though, always filled. So that 4-hour flash there at 431. Maybe that is your target. A big percentage move from here. And if you got down at 240, or even if you got that 50% retracement at 210, you know, that'd be amazing. And you'd be looking at 100% move. So that's what we're thinking on IMUX. Can we squeeze 100% move? If not, there's a breakout. Previous resistance level, you'd go from there. On the hourly, you'd say that's potential bull flag. On the 15 minutes, you have that flash there at 258. That's above price action at the minute. It's a percentage from where you've gone. The 236 recently being tested, could be on its way there. If it exceeds the prior high at this stage, it could just go on up, right? This in previous inflection point that didn't manage to lead to a significant retracement, could just explode beyond there if it goes back above 3. Even back above 280, it could be very, very positive. So interest in Lurk and Look. Thank you very much for the update or the request. Here it is, your update. And if anybody else wants me to take a look at their stocks or charts of their choice to give you my analysis and feedback and potential targets, entries, and where to be aware of risk, definitely use the links below and let me know. Happy to make video for you. Thanks very much. Hit the like button, subscribe if you'd like to see more. Do all sorts of different types of videos, and happy to hear from you on those links. Thanks very much. See you in the next one.